and welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing to the news on Church Stories. I am Oyi Opala. Let's begin. In a nation teetering on the edge of upheaval, today's official proclamation that Paul Biya has secured another term in office in the French Cameroon has struck a raw nerve. The 92-year-old veteran leader's hold on power was reaffirmed by the Constitutional Council, declaring him the winner of the October 12th election with 53.66% of the vote, a result immediately rejected by opposition forces as fraud. In the commercial hub of Douala, anger and despair spilled into the streets as crowds clashed with security forces, blocks were barricaded, and voices cried out for a transfer of power to the people. Meanwhile, on the ground and across social media, the mood was raw. Many young Cameroons declared they had nothing to lose, refusing to remain spectators to what they call another cycle of empty promises. At the center of the storm is Issa Chiroma Bakari, a former minister turned opposition contender who insists he was the true victor, claiming more than 54% of the vote, and has simultaneously warned the regime it must hand over power or risk plunging the country into ruin. With his supporters taken to the streets and his allies detained amid reports of ballot rigging and vote manipulation, a fragile peace is given way to volatile unrest. Amidst the chaos, voices of reason are rising from civil society, urging protesters to channel their energy towards the true centers of power: the presidential palace in Yaoundé, electoral commission offices, the nation's media and diplomatic missions, rather than raising the very foundations of their communities. With infrastructure decimated, livelihood threatened, and the risks of deeper instability looming, the message is clear. The path to change lies in focused pressure, not self-destruction. Now let's get the news in full briefings. Here are the prime headlines for tonight. Biya wins presidential election amidst opposition protest. Also tonight, tension in Cameroon as Issa Chiroma Bakari blames security forces for deadly attack outside his home. Also tonight, prison break reported in Douala as post-election tensions escalate across the Cameroons. Unrest erupts in Cameroon, and after Biya's re-election, protesters urged to target seats of power, not their own communities. On the African scene, U.S. removes Mali from controversial visa-bound program, while on the foreign scene, Trump steals the spotlight at the ASEAN summit, declares himself a great peacemaker. Now let's get the news in full briefings. In a highly anticipated announcement, the Constitutional Council declared Paul Biya the winner of the October 12th presidential election with 53.66% of the vote. Biya, who has been in power since 1982, secured his eighth term in office, extending his rule over the French Cameroons. The main challenger, Issa Chiroma Bakare, who garnered 35.19% of the vote, has rejected the result, citing irregularities and claiming victory for himself. Tensions are running high in the country, with sporadic protests erupting in major cities like Yaoundé and Douala. Security forces have been deployed to disperse crowds using tear gas to restore order. The opposition's rejection of the result has sparked concerns about potential unrest and instability in the country. The Catholic Church has called for calm and patience, urging all parties to respect the rule of law. Biya's victory is seen as a significant boost to his administration, but the opposition's determination to challenge the result may lead to further tensions in the days ahead. As the country navigates these crucial moments, international observers are closely monitoring the situation, urging all parties to prioritize peace and security. Well, still on the French Cameroon's result tonight, the tension is really high because Issa Chiroma Bakare is blaming security forces for deadly attack outside his residential home. And so violence erupted in Garwa today on Monday outside the home of presidential candidate Issa Chiroma Bakare, leaving at least 2 people dead. According to Mr. Chiroma, who accused security forces of opening fire on civilians. The incident came just hours after the official declaration of President Paul Biya as the winner of the October 12th presidential election, a result that has been rejected by opposition parties and civil society groups as fraudulent. In a strongly worded statement, Mr. Chiroma, leader of the Front for the National Salvation of Cameroons, condemned what he described as a deliberate attack on peaceful supporters gathered outside his residence. Shooting point blank at your own brothers, I can't help but wonder if you're mercenaries, he wrote. Kill me if you want, but I will liberate this country by any means necessary. These are the words of Issa Chiroma. He denounced the attack as a blatant act of impunity and called for justice for the victims. Authorities have not yet released an official account of the incident, and government representatives have remained silent amid rising unrest nationwide. Observers warned that Mr. Chiroma's defiant remarks and the reported death could further inflame tensions in the wake of the contested election results. International and domestic voices are increasingly urging calm, restraint, and an independent investigation into the Garoua shootings and brother post-election violence. Still in the neighboring Cameroons tonight, a prison break has been reported in Douala, which is all reported as part of post-election tensions. Widespread unrest in Cameroon deepened late today, following reports that the New Bell prison, the country's second largest penitentiary located in Douala, was broken open amidst the surging post-election tensions. The incident comes in the wake of the October 12th presidential election, whose result declaring long-serving President Paul Biya the victor have been met with nationwide protests and allegation of fraud. Authorities have not yet confirmed the full extent of the prison break or the number of inmates who may have escaped. However, security forces and local observers warn that similar unrest could erupt at the Kondengin Central Prison in Yaoundé, where political prisoners and activists are held. The political climate remains volatile, with reports of sporadic violence, arrests, and rising anger amongst opposition supporters who have so far rejected the official results. Meanwhile, opposition figure Cabral Libi has publicly acknowledged President Biya's victory, a move that has drawn criticisms from segments of the opposition who accuse him of aligning too closely with the ruling establishment at a moment of national crisis. As tensions continue to rise, calls for restraint and dialogue are growing louder from both domestic civil society groups and international observers concerned about the deteriorating security situation in the French Cameroons. All right. Also tonight, unrest is still erupting in French Cameroon today because protesters are destroying things and protesters are urged to target the seats of power, not their own communities. Well, La Republic de Cameroon is gripped by unrest after authorities declared the 92-year-old Paul Biya the winner of the October 12th presidential election. Clashes and riots have been reported across Douala as angry crowds reject the official outcome and calls for a transfer of power, while opposition figure Issa Chiroma Bakare has publicly vowed to liberate the country by any means necessary, a statement that has further inflamed tensions and prompted heavy policing in several urban neighborhoods. Scenes from the commercial capital shows demonstrators smashing small businesses and municipal infrastructure actions that residents warn will leave communities more vulnerable in the coming years. Local observers and aid workers are saying looting and destructions are already depriving families of essential services and income, and warns that violent attacks risks undermining the movement's broader legitimacy and long-term goals. Civil society leaders and legal activists are urging protesters to focus their energy on high-impact lawful targets where their demands are most likely to be heard. They point to Etudi, the presidential complex in Yaoundé, as the symbolic seat of executive power, municipal and regional electoral commission offices which administer and clarify results, and major media outlets and international consular missions as places where peaceful demonstrations, petitions, and legal appeals can attract attentions and pressure authorities without necessarily destroying community assets. Organizers emphasize non-violence, discipline, coordinated marches, authorized rallies outside government buildings, documented petitions to the Electoral Commission, legal challenges, and clear public messages to international media can amplify grievances while minimizing harm to civilians. Many community leaders say that preserving hospitals, schools, and small businesses is essential if protesters hope to sustain pressure over months rather than lose local support after a wave of destruction. As the situation evolves, humanitarian groups warn that continued unrest could exacerbate shortages and insecurities. Authorities, opposition figures, and international observers all face pressure to pursue transparent investigation and mediation to diffuse tensions. In the meantime, activists and ordinary citizens who want change are being urged to channel their demands towards the institutions that decide policy and legitimate it, not the fragile infrastructure they and their neighbors rely on. All right. And of course, all Amazonians are doing at this point is just to sympathize with the neighboring French Cameroons. Right, when we return right after this short break, we would head over to Mali, where the US has removed Mali from controversial visa-bound program. The United States has officially removed Mali, its visa-bound program. I beg your pardon, the United States has officially removed Mali from its visa-bound program. a policy that previously required certain foreign nationals to pay a refundable deposit of up to $15,000 when applying for business or tourist visas. The decision comes after the Malian government introduced reciprocal bound requirements for U.S. citizens seeking visas to Mali. In response, Washington has taken Mali off the list of countries subject to the bound policy. The Visa Bound program, launched in 2020, was designed to discourage visa overstays by nationals from countries considered to have high rates of immigration violations. It has, however, faced criticisms for being discriminatory and burdensome. Mali removal marks a significant step towards easing travel restrictions between the two nations and may signal a broader review of the program's implementation. Diplomatic observers say the move could help improve U.S.-Mali's relations, which have faced strains in recent years due to political instability in Mali and shifting alliances in West Africa. The decision is also seen as a gesture of goodwill, potentially paving the way for renewed cooperation on security and developmental initiatives. Right after this break, we'll head to the globe where Trump steals the spotlight at ASEAN summit by declaring himself a great peacemaker. At a ceremony in Kuala Lumpur marking the signing of a long-awaited border agreement between Cambodia and Thailand, Trump denominated the event both literally and figuratively, towering over the other leaders. The U.S. president delivered the longest speech of the afternoon and made the boldest claims. This is a momentous day for Southeast Asia, Trump declared, a monumental step. Standing beside the two visibly reserved prime ministers of Cambodia and Thailand, Trump praised them as historic figures before recounting at length his personal involvement in resolving their decades-old border dispute. He said the breakthrough began improbably during a visit to his Thornbury Golf Resort in Scotland last July. He said, "This is much more important than a round of golf." Trump told the audience, "I could have had a lot of fun, but this is much more fun, saving people and saving countries." Well, according to White House aides, Trump had requested that the special ceremony be added to the ASEAN Summit program as a condition for his attendance. While previous U.S. presidents have occasionally skipped the annual meeting, Trump's appearance this year was billed by his administration as a reaffirmation of Americans' engagement in the region. The president used the opportunity to promote what he called his peace-making record, claiming that his administration had brought an unprecedented number of conflicts to an end. The 8-year war that my administration has ended in 8 months. There's never been anything like that, Trump said. "We are averaging one a month." It's like, I shouldn't say it's a hobby because it's so much more serious, but it's something he is good at. That's what Trump said. Well, the comments drew polite applause from delegates, though some regional observers privately expressed surprise at the president's sweeping claims. Still, for Trump, the day was another chance to reinforce the image he has long sought to project, that of a deal maker, not just in business, but on the world stage. I'm sure you all are getting to love Trump the more. This is where we'll draw the curtains on tonight's Undaunted. But before we go, let's take a look at the major stories. In Undaunted, we told you that in neighboring French Cameroon, President Biya has won the presidential election amidst opposition protest. Also tonight, we told you that tensions in the French Cameroon is high as Issa Chiroma Bakare blames security forces for deadly attack outside his home. Tonight, we told you that prison break has been reported in Douala as post-election tension is escalating across the Cameroons. Also, unrest is erupting in Cameroon after Biya's re-election. Protesters are urged to target seats of power, not their own communities. While on the African scene, we told you that US has removed Mali from controversial visa-bound program, while on the foreign scene, Trump has sealed the spotlight at the ASEAN summit, declaring himself a great peacemaker. That's it for tonight. Undaunted, sincere apology for not being able to bring Barrister Tim Bays here on tonight's Undaunted. Hopefully he will join us tomorrow. But then special thanks to the team of technicians behind tonight's production. See you next time on Undaunted. Good night and God bless you.